Thank you. Hey. Happy Saturday. How's everyone doing? Welcome to the stream. Thank you so much for being here, and thank you. There was a couple I think of follows and subs on the intro. I'll call those out here in a few. Let me turn up my lights just a little bit. I did a ton of adjusting with lights. I feel like it's never ending, even though I have everything programmable and it's all maintained kind of as code. I don't know. Something's definitely off. But anyways, hey, happy Saturday. Welcome to the stream. Thank you so much for being here. If you're new to the stream, thank you. Thanks for coming all the way over, probably from YouTube, because that's how most people find me. But really, I started out here on Twitch first. But anyways, doesn't matter. Thanks for being here, and thank you for chatting. Really appreciate it. If you haven't been here before, like I mentioned, the stream is pretty laid back. It's a little different energy than YouTube. Speaking of YouTube energy, I'll bring something up here in a second, but a little bit different here. It's kind of an open forum. We talk about things we're working on related to tech, things we're excited about, things we want to share, things we're struggling with, all related to tech. So if you have something you want to share or something you're working on or you're really excited about in tech, yeah, throw it in the chat and let's talk about it. We'll start from the top and work our way down. Stream roughly goes about an hour. Started a little bit late, so I'm going to end a little bit late. I do have a hard stop on the little bit late though. Like how passive is that? But I do, only because my wife and I have something to do. She's been out of town for like a week, so I haven't shaved. I haven't combed my hair. No, I've combed my hair. Oh, no, I haven't done anything. And so she got back early this morning, and so she's doing some stuff right now, volunteering. But after that, we're gonna hang out. So anyways, if you've been here before, I see familiar names already. Thank you so much. I do appreciate you coming back and hanging out with us again today. But again, if you have something you want to throw in chat, throw it in there. Let's talk about it. Really quick, I might as well throw this out there. I'll talk about what I've been working on before you guys. Maybe it'll spark some ideas. But if you guys saw this morning, I've been working on MaaS or MaaS. So many ways you could say it. But MaaS, think of like SaaS, like software as a service. But Canonical, the makers of Ubuntu, made this thing called MaaS, MaaS. And what Metal as a Service is, it's a bare metal provisioner, and it's pretty cool. And I know you're thinking like, hey, what the heck? Like, I don't need bare metal provisioners. I have virtual machines. Yeah, absolutely. You got a point there. But at the same time, I do have some bare metal machines. I have a little Intel NUC there. I have 3 Intel NUCs. And then I have like, laptops and PCs and older machines that I like to play with every now and then. And, it's kind of a pain in the butt to pop in the USB disk or whatever and boot to them and sit there and babysit them. So I started looking at bare metal provisioners, and then I found Canonical MaaS. I've seen it. It's definitely not new, but it's continuing to evolve, and and they're still really pushing it. So that's what I've been playing with. I would say almost 2 weeks. It's been a lot. It's been a lot to kind of figure out and unwind and understand how it works, and then configuring my network, and then doing it a couple of times, or enough to, I guess, know what it is and know where the landmines are, and then kind of teach it. So Pretty cool, pretty cool. But there's so much. Like, I can't believe how much Canonical has put in this product. You know, when I originally saw it, I thought, hey, it's an imaging system. Yeah, like, you know, how hard could it be? This stuff's been around for 20 years. No, I'm kidding. It's still hard. But no, they packed a lot into this, and I think that's I don't know if they've had some scope creep or feature creep in the past, but there's a lot going on in there. Network discovery, you name it, DNS, DHCP, everything. I mean, it supports authentication from LDAP. It has a lot in there, so it's pretty cool. But at the same time, it also supports Packer, which is pretty cool. I got to explore Packer a little bit and understand what Packer's about and understand like where Packer fits in. For a long time, I've been doing cloud init stuff and stuff in the cloud, so I really didn't understand how Packer fits in. Now I get it. Now I get it because MaaS also use Packer, so which is pretty cool from HashiCorp. And the cool thing about it is you can use one Packer image to manage and deploy anywhere. And that's the other myth I learned about MaaS as well, is that MaaS isn't just for bare metal. MaaS could be used for virtual machines too. Like, it has hooks in it to work with Proxmox. I was like, whoa, seriously? Proxmox is in this dropdown? So it supports Proxmox, it supports VMware, and really what they want you to do is be able to manage all of your machines with one image, maybe via Packer or whatever, but one way to kind of deploy your images and take inventory of your machines that are out there. So I thought that was pretty cool. And at the same time, then they have a Terraform provider on top of that. So you could, if you really wanted, you could automate the bare metal, which I might try doing, to be honest. I might try doing, because that's the ultimate goal, right? Like, at least for me, like I have automation after a machine is imaged. I kind of have machine automation creating a virtual machine, but I'm missing that very important piece, getting from bare metal, getting from hardware to something with an IP address. And so that's the challenge that I've been trying to solve. And maybe I'm just going down this rabbit hole of like trying to fix this thing, this elusive thing that might not be able to be fixed. I think it can. But at the same time, I would love to be able to say, hey, Terraform, I got this new laptop, whatever. Here's the MAC address, go, and put Ubuntu on it. And just go. And that's kind of what I want to get to. I'm going to combine all the things that I've been learning all the way back to my tech support days and imaging and Pixie booting and DHCP, now combined with 20 years later of Terraform and infrastructure as code. I kind of want to put it all together. So anyways, I'm kind of excited about it. I'm super excited about combining, like, you know, older technology along with newer technology. And I don't want to say old like it's deprecated or antiquated, because it's not. It's really important piece of technology in the stack that a lot of people use day in and day out. But it's super cool to like combine and do something that is older a new way. So anyways, if you can't tell, I'm kind of excited about it. So anyways, if you have something you want to share, throw it in chat and let's talk about it. It's I'm excited to see what you guys are working on. I get my best ideas from all of you. No kidding, no joke. I get my best ideas from you guys, so I appreciate it. Really quick too, so really quick, there were some activities right before the stream started, so I want to call these out to make sure that I do. This time, I think I have my alert noise turned down, and I have mod chat open just in case. If you were here last week, like someone dropped 100 gifted subs, and then Tali, I think, dropped 50, and then on top of that, there was so many alerts going off. I had something configured wrong, and I thought I turned it down. Well, I turned it down in my ear, didn't turn it down in the stream. So for about half hour, people heard my my Twitch alerts going off. So I apologize. Anyways, I'm prepared today. I'm prepared. I'm ready. But let's see, really quick, right before the stream started, Sleepy MN, I assume that stands for Minnesota. How's it going? C began, oh man, C began Cass. I apologize. Zenpaw, thank you all for the follow. Appreciate it. Xavius D, how's it going? Tier 1, 14 months. How's it going, Xavius? How you doing? Hopefully you're getting moved. I think you were moving, or you've been moving, I think. I hope it's going well. I dread moving. It's one of the top 5 things that I really despise doing. It's like the more stuff I accumulate too, the less I want to do it. But anyways, woohoo! Thanks for the 14-month continued support. Appreciate it. CBN Sandwich, how's it going? Is resub tier 1, 8 months, 8-month streak. Thank you. Let's go. That's right. And then Joe X84, thanks for follow. Appreciate it. Welcome. So yeah, let's get into chat. Let's talk about what you guys are talking about. I just realized too, I have yes up on the screen this whole entire time while I was testing something earlier. So yes, the answer today is yes. That's the magic word. First of all, I do want to see who was here first. I know who was here first. Yeah, it was. I'm gonna go here. It's Xavius D. So Xavius D, first in chat. Thank you so much for being here. So tired of moving. Well, Tim, are you strumming? I'm strumming. Yes, we're live right now. But man, I saw in Discord you were moving. I don't know if it's far away, but either way, like hauling out, like, home lab stuff or equipment in general is it's tough. It makes moving more complicated. It also makes moving more complicated when you have to get the new location, the new data center set up before you can move the old data center to the new data center. It's kind of how I look at it. When I bought my house, I scheduled internet installed the day we closed, and I got the keys. It's kind of wild, but when you close on a house, if you ever bought one, it's so far out that you can pick any day you want to schedule internet installs or whatever you want. So I was like, sweet, that's the day we close. Let's do it in the evening. And yeah, I basically closed on the house, got the key, and met the person from our ISP and got our internet turned on that day. It was pretty awesome. So if I ever move, that's a little life tip for you. If you ever buy a house and you close on a house and you know the closing date, just schedule internet install that same date right away, because most likely the closing date's not going to change, because those are tough to change. Maybe they are easier now. And on top of that, your ISP is not going to care if you cancel or change the date. So anyways, another life tip. Let's see who is here. Sit back and wait patiently. How's it going? Ape Drape, how's it going? Bananas. Oh yeah, it's going bananas. Let's go. All right, let's see. Phantom Way, how's it going? Hello. I really enjoyed the MaaS video. Hey, thanks. I appreciate it. It was a lot to put together. Funny, like a lot of people were like, "Are you okay?" Like, I will say I haven't felt myself the last week. Not sure what's going on. I kind of feel sick. I'm not really sure, and so I was a little bit tired when I filmed that video, and I didn't wear a hat. And like people lost their minds. They're like, "Are you okay? Like, do you need help?" I'm like, dude, I'm just not wearing a hat. But you guys here in Twitch know that like sometimes I don't wear a hat. People on YouTube, they don't know that I don't wear a hat sometimes. So when they saw like I didn't have a hat on, I think they just kind of lost their minds. But anyways, I'm okay. I do feel a little bit sick. I'm not sure what it is. Yes, I didn't bring my full energy to that video, but like I said, like I just didn't feel the greatest, but I knew that video had to get done. And that's show business, right? The show has to go on. And I don't know, maybe next time I'll just take a shot of vitamin B or something and slam some caffeine right before I go live. But anyways, I appreciate that people noticed that I wasn't myself. I was like, even when I was editing the video, I'm like, ooh, I'm not bringing my my authentic self right now. Well, kind of, because I'm sick, but not my normal self, like this self. And so I was surprised that people even noticed. But anyways, appreciate it. Trevor, how's it going? Sup, Tim? Got my new UCS servers. I'm going to be migrating from Dell servers to UCS. Nice, man. To be honest, I don't know what UCS, that acronym, stands for. I'm betting it's something, but I can't even. Universal. I don't know. I don't know what UCS stands for, but awesome. You got new servers. Awesome. You're migrating. What were your old Dell servers? Curious. Cisco makes UCS servers. All right. I was going to say, knowing Trevor, it's probably something so deep in networking that I don't even understand. Thank you guys. Cisco UCS. Yeah. So yeah, like I said, I'm sure it's awesome. I know that you are super into networking. Like you are I would say guru in my eyes, because you talk about terms and configurations that blow my mind. So pretty awesome, man. Well, I hope it's what you want. That's pretty awesome. Let's see. Loggy Lipe. Oh, I finally thought you didn't start a stream. I'm here. I know. I was a couple of minutes late. A lot of testing. The lights are a constant battle. Maybe after I go to Home Assistant, they'll be a little bit better than my jank code. But really, if I swap out Home Assistant, I'm going to have to write jank code against Home Assistant. So, nothing against Home Assistant. I'm saying, my code that calls these APIs. So I don't know if it's going to get any better because I'm still writing the code. Let's see. Twisted Graham, how's it going? Howdy. I've been working on to get Longhorn and traffic set up the way I want it on my cluster, and I figured out how to do restores and backups. Important before you go to production. Yeah, for sure. So pretty cool. So you got Longhorn going, which is distributed block storage inside of your Kubernetes cluster. Pretty awesome. And then traffic setup, which is your reverse proxy. It can do load balancing too, generically called a load balancer, but it also does proxy and reverse proxy. So pretty cool. And I totally agree. You should figure out how to do restores first. So I would absolutely, mount some mount to one of your pods, small config file, write something in it, delete the node, delete the pod, back it up to S3 if you're using Minio or object storage, back it up to object storage, and then try a restore just so you don't have to figure out that stuff under pressure. And then write it all down because, at least for me, Longhorn's been super solid to where problems are so few and far between. By the time I need to do it, I forget. I just did it with Postgres last week, 2 weeks ago. I've only had to restore my Postgres database twice. And I thought, I'll figure it out. I'll figure it out when it happens. When I figured it out when it was happening, it was down for almost an hour because I had to figure it out when it happened. So I highly recommend trying, do a DR scenario. If you have backups in place, you have disaster recovery in place, you have, all these ways to, mitigate downtime, or even how to restore things in the case of a disaster, test it, and then write it down. So then it's it's just practice. But pretty awesome. I like Longhorn. I think it's great. I got something coming for Longhorn. It's not a video. I think I'm gonna write some Longhorn code. I won't give away too many secrets because I'm kind of committing to it, but we'll see. I've been talking to them on GitHub. I want to add something to Longhorn, and they're like, yeah, go for it. So. We'll see if I can write some code and contribute something to Longhorn that if you guys are using it, you'll see. So pretty awesome. Loggy Life. Also, my journey for a laptop as a router failed because I don't have L2 capable switch. Have to use a PC with a NIC. Yeah. So this can happen. So I think I know what's going on. I think you probably want to use a laptop, and you probably only have one device or one NIC on there, and you can't, and you basically need to, do layer 2 switching so that you can separate maybe LAN and WAN. And you want to do that ahead of that connection to your laptop, and you only have one NIC. So it's tough, it's tough. You really can't unless you use a managed switch to get L2 support so you can do it. But that's tough. Yeah, I apologize. You'll figure it out. You could try the USB route. Your mileage may vary. But if you need 2 NICs, you could go a USB route. It depends on your internet speed or your LAN speed, but gigabit USB NICs might be solid. I don't know. It's been a while since I've done a USB NIC. I have some laying around, but again, your mileage may vary, and it really depends on how I don't know. how scrappy you want to get with making it work. If it were me and it was make it work, I would find a $5 USB NIC on Amazon and make it work until it sucked or didn't work anymore. But that's just me. Okay, Salvarius, howdy folks, how's it going? Cyber Knight, how's it going? Migrating apps and services from Docker on one of the K3S clusters. Okay, so migrating apps and services from Docker on one to the K3S clusters. Hey, I've been through that before. Pretty awesome. I'm gonna say, it's not easy work, but it really helps you learn a couple of things. One, helps you learn about Kubernetes for sure. 2, helps you learn more about how storage works in Kubernetes, because I almost guarantee you the workloads you're migrating from Docker to Kubernetes probably have some kind of storage. And it also, teaches you how to load balance things, because you're gonna need a load balancer. Probably also teaches you that, most, container workloads for self-hosting type things are stateful and basically monoliths. They're an all-in-one container because they only expect you to run one. So some things can't be scaled. So I bet you're learning all of this stuff. So yeah, excited for you. I've done it, and even for me doing it, I've done it a couple times. It's tough. It's tough. But once I would say if you are going to go that route and you're thinking, you're already doing it, you should look at something like Argo or Flux at the same time. That might be taking on a lot. And now I might be adding, some feature creep or scope creep to your migration. But if you ever decide to do GitOps that way, then you'll have plenty of examples on how to do it for all of your services. And that's me all the time. Like, how do I create this cert again and this route and traffic? Doesn't even matter. I just copy pasta the thing, find and replace the names and DNS, and boom, push it up, and 2 minutes later I have a new route. I mean, I just did that with my PyKVM. Wanted SSL and created a DNS record, created a route for it in traffic, pushed it up in Git, and 2 minutes later I already had SSL. So super fun. But anyways, not trying to downplay your migration, because that is awesome and you're gonna learn a ton for sure. Salvarius, Ansible, Terraform. This is what you're working on. Creating a role that will build out my VMs. Yeah, awesome. Yeah, awesome. That's all I have to say. No, I'm curious. So you're still, I assume, still using Proxmox. You're gonna build a role with Terraform, Ansible to either Terraform or to either Ansible. I assume you're gonna use Terraform to bootstrap and create the actual infrastructure. So create the VMs and the Ansible to configure afterwards. I mean, in my head, it's kind of where I go, but I could be wrong. So pretty awesome. Fun stuff. It's fun once you start automating stuff to where you can repeat it over and over and over. But at the same time, building that out can be time consuming too. Because, if your whole entire build process takes 15, 20 minutes and you have an error, on 15 minutes and 49 seconds, you're like, oh, typo. Got to run that automation again. But that, that stuff you do asynchronously on the side, and it's super fun. So awesome, man. Good to see you. Loggy Light. Also, my PC doesn't support VT-D, so I can't pass through the NIC to OpenSense VM. All right, yeah, this is doomed. This is doomed. There are still some things you can do. There's still hope. So, I mean, you don't necessarily have to pass through the NIC to your router. Well, yeah, I assume you're virtualizing it. So I assume in my head you have this. You're trying to install Proxmox on a laptop, and that laptop only has one NIC, and you're trying to figure out what you can do, and your CPU doesn't have VT-D, and so you're like, now I'm doomed, double doomed, because I only have one NIC and I don't support hardware pass-through. You can do it without hardware pass-through too. You just create a Linux bond or Linux bond or basically a virtual switch on there, and then give that virtual machine access to that virtual switch. So then you create two NICs, two virtual NICs on that virtual machine, connect them to different switches, and then those are backed by different NICs. But you only have one NIC, but I was saying you could go the USB route. Anyways, how bad do you want this? Because I bet we can figure it out, but you would have to buy an additional NIC. Or like you mentioned earlier, using a managed switch or some way to separate the network before it comes to you. Because I assume you want to do LAN and WAN. So there are ways. There are ways to. How many ways can we hack this? Let's see here. Spen, MB. Thoughts on Thoughts on Twitch killing off personal chatbots through IRC. I have no qualms with it. I get it. So Twitch chatbots are built on IRC, and an older technology it's still using. They want to change their infrastructure, and right now they support REST they support so many things, and this is kind of where the developer in me is like, get rid of it, but the consumer in me says, hey, I still use it. And this is a battle. This is a battle with the businesses that developers and consumers always face. Developers and maybe product owners want to deprecate some tech debt. Say what you want about IRC, whatever, but I assume to Twitch, it's a huge tech debt, for them to continue to maintain this protocol that they don't want to maintain anymore. And so the developer in me is like, cut it off, stop doing it, set a date, sunset it, deprecate it, but then the consumer on me who writes bots is like, oh, now I got to rewrite a ton of my code and do it the new way. So, it's I see it both ways. I see it both ways. But at the end of the day, if you want Twitch to innovate and you want them to support more protocols, like events, like they are starting to now, like WebSockets and webhooks and all of these other things. If you want them to support those new things, they kind of have to let go of the other things. And so I'm trying to be super, open-minded and practical and pragmatic about the whole thing. Like I said, developer in me says get rid of it because, me as a developer, it was like, hey, do you want to work on this new hotness, these WebSockets and all of this stuff? Or do you want to work on this, quote unquote, legacy IRC protocol that was built, 5 years ago? I'm going with new hotness as a developer. I don't want to work on that old stuff. Give that to the new people. Anyways, so I have no qualms. But I have a different lens. I have a different lens because I am a developer. I write code all day long for work. And so, I'm able to kind of see it from their side too. And then, like I was saying, like if you want them to innovate, we don't want them to innovate on an old protocol. I want them to innovate on new tech, and bring stuff new. And so if they're going to have to start choosing between supporting an old protocol and innovating on new tech or new features, I want them to innovate and choose new tech and new features. So, oh, you were like, oh man, I was hoping he was going to pile on. No, I see it both ways though, because it creates a lot of work for me too. I write Twitch chatbots. The one that's running in here now is based on the IRC protocol, but I'm using, I think, Twitch.js and hopefully Twitch.js. Hopefully some of the libraries that you use won't change their interface or their contract and make it all opaque to you. So you don't know. It's like, yeah, your events might change, but at the same day, like, you're going to subscribe to an event and it's going to emit events and hopefully, that contract doesn't change. But I'm speculating that Twitch.js will most likely change their API and release a new version. So anyways, as you can tell, I've done a lot of this stuff. So let's see. But yeah, no, good question. Throw them at me. I like it. But, I try to be fair and balanced, and not because I just want to be politically correct. It's because it's what goes on in my head is trying to be fair and balanced and see things from both sides. So Loggy Lipe. Also, is it possible to build a rack out of wood? Yeah, it is. Don't believe me? Yeah. Look in our Discord server. Yeah, absolutely it is. I think people have even released their plans in our Discord server, and if not, there's plenty of them on if you just search Google, there's definitely ways to do it. I've seen them. If you look in our homelab channel, our Discord channel, there are some that are in there that are 100% custom made. So absolutely it is. 100%. Yeah. It's you go down to Lowe's, Home Depot, wherever you buy your wood at, and you measure twice and hopefully only cut once and put it together. I'm not good at that type of thing. I would be like measure 5 times and still cut probably 5 times. So Flabron, what's the best homelab workstation refurbished for running Proxmox and Kubernetes cluster? What's the best workstation refurb? This one's tough because when it comes to, servers or workstations, as you put it, or any type of machine, at the end of the day, what you're looking for is an x86 machine or, a processor that's, I guess, not ARM, x86 base, x64, that has a couple of things. So I'm going to mention, I guess, some of the features you're looking for and not specifically the hardware you're looking for and why you would want them. So first, if you want it to be a workstation, like basically, a PC, I'd buy a bigger case because most likely you're going to put lots of drives or lots of things in there. So I wouldn't, unless you're going to build a totally tiny one or you're going to buy a micro ATX board that was used, I would probably go a little bit bigger, room for expansion. You want a CPU that supports virtualization, obviously for Proxmox, and then VT-D, which is basically hardware pass-through. Or if you're running AMD, totally fine. They have a different tech. That's the Intel naming scheme. Intel has a different naming scheme for it, but you want to make sure it supports those two things so you can virtualize, and then you can pass hardware through, if needed, to those virtual machines. After that, I think your next thing you want to think about is RAM. RAM's gonna get you, and it's almost tied with the next one. But you want to make sure you have enough RAM. Every virtual machine you should be giving enough RAM, otherwise it's going to be paging stuff to disk, and you don't want that because it's going to slow stuff down. So I don't know what a decent amount of RAM is. I mean, 64 seems kind of okay depending on how many virtual machines you're going to be running. But the more virtual machines you're going to be running, the more RAM you need. So I would definitely look into getting something with a decent amount of RAM. And and make sure your motherboard has some slots for expansion too. And then the next thing I always recommend is SSDs. Just go SSDs right away, at least for your virtual machine storage. If you're thinking of, larger, file shares, slow moving, slow changing files, yeah, you can go spinning rust if you want, especially if you're going to run an NAS or, file storage on your network. Yeah, absolutely do spinning rust unless you want to spend for SSDs. But I would say that, your virtual machines, those disks should probably be on SSDs. I can say almost without a doubt, unless you have enough spinning rust running to where you're not using up all the I/O for that. Anyways, all that aside, and then you said, hey, on top of that Kubernetes, so it's going to be an all-in-one. It's going to be hypervised, a hypervisor with Proxmox. You're going to need probably 3-ish nodes. So I don't know. I mean, that's kind of what I would recommend. It's tough to recommend just one. My thing is I'll just use my old PC. That's what I would do if I was ever in a situation where I'm like, I want to build a server or a workstation or something to be able to tinker on. And my PC's 4 or 5 years old. Not the most, it's pretty cost effective, but at the same time, it's going to be a little more expensive. But I would just upgrade my PC and then use my existing one as my new server, but my old PC. You can go so many ways. But then on top of that, a lot of people use these micro PCs, these very small like Lenovo's or Dell's that are relatively cheap. The cost adds up. Sometimes you can find them for $125, but no RAM, no RAM, no storage, no whatever, and so it can kind of add up. But yeah, you have a ton of options. I would definitely ask in hardware because we have so many people who do everything from a single bare metal machine running Docker to multiple clusters running Proxmox to all bare metal Kubernetes on small nodes to Raspberry Pis only. So if you want to, I guess a more, a wider opinion than I guess my own, yeah, absolutely ask in a hardware channel because there's so many people in there who have so many different experiences that can probably help. But those are the features to look for. I'm just going to call those out. Oh, with mount holes. Oh, gosh, I missed that at the end. With mount holes. I missed that one at the end. That's tough. That one is tough because mount holes means not in a PC case. So I'm a fan of Intel NUCs. You can find them kind of relatively cheap, but they're not going to be as cheap as, some of the other options that are out there. Selling my gear to upgrade. Oh, yeah, for sure. I hear you. I hear you. Let's see. Oh, yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, but what costs these days? Probably cheaper just to buy one. Yeah, I hear you. Yeah, it is cheaper to buy one. Sometimes people give them away depending on how big they are. I think the bigger and the more gnarly they are and the heavier they are, the cheaper they get because people just want them out for sure. And this is commenting on that, hey, should I build one of wood? So, Manny. Sorry. Still, my throat's is still a little bit, like I said, I've been a little bit sick for a week and my throat's still a little messed up. Manny, hey, I'm planning to redo my whole network setup. Is VLAN or subnet better for IoT network? And does it have any alternatives and does anyone have any alternatives to Google Chromecast? All right, two questions in there. One, is a VLAN or subnet better for IoT? I mean, it depends on how you want to manage them. VLANs is just a logical separation, and where subnets are actually addressing it differently. So, it's going to be up to you, and it's going to be up to whether your switch can support that or not. I'm a fan of VLANs because I didn't honestly know how to configure VLANs, a couple years ago. And so it's something I wanted to learn, and now it became super easy. So I would recommend them only because I like them. They're easy. They're easy for me to understand now. And then I would say that you have to have a switch that, a managed switch that can support VLANs, and not only the switch, everything along the path of your network needs to be able to support it too. I mean, not from your switch down, I guess I should say, but if you are expecting to get a switch and then create a VLAN for IoT devices, and those IoT devices use wireless, you need to make sure your access point also supports VLANs as well. So I do think it's a good use of your time, not only for learning about VLANs, but for segmenting or separating those devices out from the rest of your network. I did it. It was kind of painful, but fun at the same time. And so now I have a VLAN 100% dedicated to IoT. It runs both wired and wireless. I have a ton of devices on there, and I feel so much better. Because now I don't have to worry like, hey, are these devices, like, if they got compromised, would they be able to sniff traffic? Most of the traffic's going to be over SSL anyways, or TLS, so it doesn't really matter. But anyways, I just didn't want to worry about, one of those devices getting possibly compromised or anything like that. And who knows what they're doing, and listening to packets on my network and saving it for later or reporting it back somewhere. So I went that route, mostly out of paranoia, but at the same time because it felt like the right thing to do in this day and age. So, I would go that route. The other question: does anyone have any good alternatives to Google Chromecast? That one's tough too. It really depends on what ecosystem you're in. Since you're using a Chromecast, I'm assuming you have an Android phone, so it probably works pretty good. Depends on what you want to do, right? For Chromecast, you're probably going to be casting media to it, but there are alternatives that are out there. I'm just going to throw out big ones like Amazon Fire Stick. Don't know if it's a good alternative, but it does similar things. Apple TV does similar things. Android TV on an NVIDIA Shield does similar things. Your TV might even be smart enough to do similar things. So, throwing out, some of the big names. I don't know about the smaller ones, but yes, absolutely. If you have time and you're looking for a project, absolutely set up VLANs and separate some stuff out. And if you need some guidance on that, I'll have something coming soon because it's in my backlog and it keeps bubbling to the top every time someone asks a question like this. So, Chemical Ivory, how's this going? Seth is seriously kicking my butt. Feels bad, man. Yeah, so I can imagine. I I don't want to repeat it because, I learned from 45 Drives and their storage, videos that, people say it's hard, but haven't tried it yet. But you're saying it. Your words, not mine. But I hear that it's tough. I haven't tried it myself, so I can't comment on it myself. But I hear it's, tough to grok, I guess I should say. I hope you figure it out, man. I hope you figure it out. PC Geek figured out my MaaS networking issue. I needed to set the gateway IP on the subnet config. Missed that step. Now to see if the machine will auto-update itself or if I need to redeploy. Awesome. Yeah. So awesome. That's awesome. You're hopping on the MaaS train and giving it a try. I think it's pretty cool. It solves a lot of different problems in a different way, but it tries to do them universally for virtual machines as well as physical machines too, which is I think pretty cool. I think pretty cool. Like I was saying earlier, yeah, you can configure Proxmox ESXi. Now, and I'm not talking about imaging it and laying down Proxmox on top of it or laying down ESXi on bare metal. I'm talking about it can communicate with the VMware API and the Proxmox API and create those machines and image those machines as if they're physical, which is like pretty cool. So awesome, man. Let me know how it goes. I was honest in that video. There were some things I struggled with. I still struggle with their whole like reserving a DHCP range. If you're not using DHCP, I'm just like, wow, this doesn't make any sense. And their documentation is pretty light and sparse in a lot of areas, like the whole thing. I'm kidding. But it's there's something that's left to be desired on some of their documentation. And if I knew it, I would try to open a pull request and fix it. But I'm looking at their documentation because I don't know what the answer is. So if you figure out the whole like, hey, you need to reserve an IP range, even though you're not using their DHCP, let me know. Hey, See, now I have a thing. I have my alerts so quiet I can't even hear them. Torkamana, hey, thank you so much. Resub Prime, 11 months streak, almost a year. Torkamana, thank you so much. Appreciate it. Thank you. And Mr. Garrow, hey, thanks for the follow. Muckaducka, thanks for the follow. Someone somewhere, thanks for the follow. Calvin, thanks for the follow. And Web, HDX, and Slider. Thank you all for the follow. I apologize. I turned my notifications down because last stream there was so loud that I probably blew everyone's eardrums out, so I can't even hear them myself now. But anyways, thank you guys all for the follow. And Torkamana, thank you for the continued support. Almost 1 year, man. Thank you so much, your person. CBN Sandwich, moved to a new place, replacing old Cat 5 with Cat 6 from rack to desk. Awesome. That's awesome. So you can just cut the cable, attach it, and just pull. It's always awesome when you have existing cable there. Hopefully it is that easy. I'm oversimplifying because there's no way I can cut and pull my existing because like there are so many twists and turns to get down to my basement. It is unreal. And I've done it twice now, and I never want to go back up there and do it again. So. But awesome, man. That is awesome that it's already there, and maybe you can cut and pull and use it really easily. 18 Will Ray, what's up, everyone? How's it going? 200 euros. Let's see. Xavier D, things I'm working on. Moving still. Yeah, man. Hopefully you figure it out. I'm sure you will. I mean, you got this, man. It's yeah. Like I said, I'm not a fan of moving. I'm a fan of moved. I'm a fan of like moving in the past tense, but not like doing it. I don't know. Something about you have to be 100% done at a certain time. Something about that time constraint and the percent of completion needs to be 100%. Something about that just gets me. So I feel you, man. Like every time I've moved, I've lost like a ton of weight because it's like doing stuff nonstop for like 3 weeks, to where I'm like not eating. Let's see. 18 Wheel Ray, it's mobile. Hey, thanks. Thank you. Let's see. LOL. Trevor, fun fact, got an issue happening with our 10 gigabit CKT at our work. Yeah, that's not good. Hopefully you figure it out. Being a free man for a week. Yeah, I was, but it's kind of quiet. I mean, I might sound loud right now, but I'm a pretty quiet person. Like I don't say much. And so, if my wife's not here, I don't say much. I mean, I talk to the dogs, but if they don't want to listen to me or they're not in the room, I don't say anything. So, I'm obviously working, but if I didn't have the dogs and my wife wasn't here and it was a weekend, I probably wouldn't say a word. And that's probably not a good thing, but yeah, I'm glad she's back. Loggy Light, what base OS did you use for MaaS? You mentioned you installed it with Snap. So the base OS I use for MaaS, yeah, good question. Was Ubuntu. That's my go-to. Is Ubuntu. I mean, it's been that way for years. I think 4.10 or something was the first one I ever used. And so I kind of stuck with it. I've gotten used to, that app and the way they do stuff. And NetPlan, not really used to it, but I'm used to it. So anyways, yeah, so the base OS that I installed MaaS on was Ubuntu because it's easy and I understand it. And it has great support for a lot of the tools that I use. A lot of the stuff that I use is always just like Ubuntu LTS supported. And then it'll give me like all these other OSs that aren't supported or older packages. And I'm just kind of like, all right, I'm going to go with what's supported. But yeah, that's what I use. It's what I use on almost every Linux install I have. Well, now except for my PyKVM, it runs Arch, by the way, is Ubuntu. So now I have Arch in my environment. I didn't even realize that when I bought my PyKVM. So I had to figure out, oh man, Pac-Man, like I haven't done this in a long time. It's like, well, and it mounts a read-only file system. I'm like, ooh, this is my testing my Linux knowledge. But yeah, Ubuntu, I've had a lot of. I haven't had any problems. I'll put a positive spin on it. I've had great success with Ubuntu. I'll put it that way. Xavius, do you know how? Where's this going? Do you know how you acted like every man that see their wife a week? You triumphed like the moment you walked in the door. LOL. Wow. I should have screened that one. No, I'm kidding. Yeah. Yes. Yeah, I let some stuff go. So, Let's see. Chemical Ivory. MaaS is really a very nice package. Agree. Yeah, I think so too. It was just kind of off the radar. Like I saw like Learn Linux TV Jay. He did a video on it a while ago, and I was like, do I want to make something that Jay already did? Not that he would even care, and he doesn't. But I was like, do I want to do that? And then I was like, well, mine's so different because I'm going down this packer route and stuff, and I did. And then when I got into it, I was like pleasantly surprised because what I knew from MaaS was Jay's from Learn Linux TV's video. And then so I thought, well, that's it. It's, just for Ubuntu stuff, And then when I got into it, I'm like, this thing is like crazy. Not crazy, but crazy in a good way. Like there's so many features to it. Like I could see myself using it if like, hey, I had a remote site and, I wanted to deploy a ton of stuff to the edge. I'd deploy, one MaaS server there and then use that to totally configure all those machines and do, build edge clients there and have that be the way that I deploy to manage them rather than, IPMI and all of them. Oh, that's another thing too I learned through it. It can even like automate IPMI stuff too. Like if it supports Redfish, like Redfish, I think is I'm learning a lot of stuff about IPMI. IPMI is the older protocol. Like Redfish and this whole type of web service is like the new protocol, the stuff you see on a lot of super microboards and stuff like that. It can even automate that. So it's like you don't even need to do anything different for like existing clients that already have IPMI. You're like, yeah, you don't need to power it on and mount an ISO and maybe launch a Java client and do all this other stuff. No, you can do that through MaaS too. So I'm like, the more I look at it, I'm like, I'm pretty blown away at how much they've done. And how little is known about it. I'm by myself personally. Trevor, VMware has vSphere auto deploy. Awesome. Yeah, awesome. Yeah, for sure. Like VMware's been doing this stuff for long time for sure. And they got a lot of dollars behind it for sure. But yeah, good point. Tally, trying to find a way to take advantage of NVMe and shared storage. Are you aware of any homelab budget equivalent of something like Brocade? So NVMe and shared storage. I'm not. Real quick, Mr. Smashy, thanks for the follow. Appreciate it. Tex-Mex Highlander, thanks for the follow. Appreciate it. I'm not. So I assume you want to do like a storage array that's all flash and beyond flash, all NVMe. I am not. I am not, especially something that's like homelab budget, because this is like bleeding edge stuff. Like what you're asking for is like you want to do bleeding edge, but you don't want to pay bleeding edge. I totally get it. Like I want all flash storage and I want all NVMe would be great too. But at the same time, that tech needs to trickle down, outside of enterprise before I can afford it. So, but I wish there were. I know that XavierSD has been doing some testing and playing around with, PCI Express cards that are 4x or 16x that dedicate 4x per NVMe drive. So it's basically PCI Express, device that you can put 4 NVMEs on it, and then each one of those NVMEs gets 4 lanes, and then you could do that out 3-4 times. But yeah, I mean, I don't know how cost effective that is to do that. And plus, if you have enough lanes or enough slots. So I wish. I know that, I have no idea, but I've seen Synology has something. I've seen 45 Drives have something, but that's all brand new and they're targeting enterprises. So I highly doubt it is homelab budget friendly. So I wish I did. Loggy Light, does the Raspberry Pi have a BIOS? No, it does not. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't believe it does. There's no BIOS on it. I could be wrong, but there's nothing. It's all like, yeah. So I don't think so. I don't think it has a traditional BIOS like you would think, or even open BIOS or anything that you can like go into and configure. And that's part of the challenge too. That's part of the challenge too with being able to deploy something like MaaS or using Raspberry Pis with MaaS. If that's where your question is going, but I could be wrong. I mean, I have 4 or 5. Actually, I have a couple more Raspberry Pis. I think I have 6 or 7. But I don't think there's a BIOS. Like I'm not a huge. I could be wrong. But I don't think there's like the traditional BIOS you think with we get on PCs, like I think it's AMI or now there's an open BIOS too. Nothing like that. So it's, software that does firmware for you. It is cool. Yes. All right. Thank you. What do you mean, like the brocade? Yeah, because when I was thinking brocade, I was thinking like network switches right away. But I was kind of asking that question too. Oh yeah, brocade boys. Xavier's D is a brocade guy. Yeah, for sure. Flykin, thanks for the follow. Appreciate it. Welcome. Fiber channel. EC. Oh, okay. So fiber channel. Yeah. Ooh. Yeah. That would be nice. But once you get into that NVMe, that's when I think it gets super expensive on that interface and that form factor, because that's a relatively newer tech in flash compared to, solid normal SSDs or anything that connects through SATA. Let me know if you find out, because it would be cool. Like I would love to do, like a SAN or something that's all flash based, with a fiber channel connection. Then I could just dedicate all of my VM storage to something external, and it's just there and it's on, and then make all of my compute, nodes just dumb and not have any storage on them besides the OS. It would be pretty awesome. Met Minister, hi Tim. How do you handle secrets in Flux Kubernetes? Do you pre-deploy secrets from your cluster? It's like I planted you here. So for me, I use SOPS. So SOPS is secret operations. Think of like DevOps and think of other GitOps. Well, now SOPS is like secret operations, and so SOPS is something that's created by Mozilla. There's a controller, or there's a controller that you basically installed inside your Kubernetes cluster that can decrypt these secrets when you push them up. And so I have a video on it. Go to my doc site or look for Techno Tim SOPS, SOPS, and you'll see it. And so basically what I do is I encrypt all of my secrets I encrypt all of my secrets that are in YAML to my Git repo, and then push that up to GitHub, and then, or GitLab, or wherever you want to push it up to source control. I should just say products aside. And then I run GitOps like Flux, and when it pulls that in, it will see that there are secrets that are encrypted, and then it will decrypt that secret and apply them. And so that gives me two things. One, encryption at rest, which is awesome. Encryption at rest. So that means like when, my code and my secrets are parked on disk in source control, they're encrypted, so no one can get to them. And then they're decrypted at runtime. So pretty cool stuff. So yeah, look at SOPS. There's also I think VMware has one that is sealed secrets. Oh man, had to pull that one out. So sealed secrets and SOPS are the two that a lot of people use. And I guess I should say that SOPS is the tool to do it. AGE is the actual tool that does the encryption. Maybe wasn't important to me. I just needed one to choose. And so, yeah, it's pretty cool. And there's VS Code plugins that will automatically encrypt and decrypt while you're working on them, which is super handy. It's pretty cool. We were just talking about this in Discord yesterday, and it's not just for Kubernetes too. I mean, I think Reckless was trying to do this yesterday, the day before. Time is kind of weird for me right now. But he wanted a way to encrypt his .env file so that he can just commit his .env file and push it up. Like everyone says, don't ever commit your .env file. But if the thing is encrypted and only you have the key, then, arguably it might be okay. I mean, that's going to be up to you to decide and how safe you keep that key. But with SOPS and AGE, you can encrypt, JSON, SQL, .env, YAML, anything. You can encrypt any text file and know that, hey, it's encrypted with these trusted algorithms to where as long as you don't leak the key, they can't be cracked in today's day and age. a lot of qualifiers there, but anyways, yeah. So look at it, and it's more than just for Kubernetes. I tried to keep that video, pretty generic to where if like me, I had a password in SQL. Not that I wanted to, but because this SQL script that I have to run had to have it in there for whatever reason, I was just like, encrypt the whole SQL file. Good luck getting that. And even if you get to it, the service isn't public anyways. So, Eichel 65. I think that's Eichel. I'm going with Eichel. Hey, thank you so much for the Prime sub. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Thank you. Xavier C, let me see. I got you. I share my NVMe out of SM Bus and FS from my TrueNAS server. There you go. That's what I'm currently doing, even though it's not needed. I hate leaving speed on the table and NVMe and surpasses 10 gig. Yeah, I was going to say, like, hey, well, if it's going over the network, that's your bottleneck right there. But if you're using then 10 gig, maybe it's not. Maybe it's not. Because it was like, wait, NVMe for NFS? But I was just thinking in my head, like, hey, you can't even write that fast over the network. But I guess you can with 10 gig. Oh, yeah, Nielsen. Yeah, that's exactly what I was saying. Sealed Secrets works. SOPS works. They're both great. I mean, either. Yeah, I would be 100% supportive if anyone used either one of those. Because the alternative is just to commit your secrets to code and think, hey, I have a private repo. Like, no one's getting in here. And that might not always be the case. And I list some of those reasons out in the video. Just get in general. With distributed source control, when you clone a repo, it's on your machine, not encrypted, and then you have team members join and they all clone their, the repo, and now everyone has these secrets everywhere, and then CI will clone your stuff, and who knows what's going on with that CI server. So, I would never encrypt secrets or passwords in a repo, even if it were private, and SOPS helps you do that. Sealed Secrets does too. But I think SOPS is a little more universal for more things. Hey, Tilburn, thanks for the resub, Prime, 5 months, 1 month streak. Thank you so much. Appreciate it, Tilburn. How's it going? Let's see. 3 pork chop express. I like it. I like pork chops. I didn't realize I like pork chops until my brother said he loves pork chops. And then I was like, you know what? I kind of do too. Anyways, hi, everyone. Anyone experiencing storage server, 12 plus drives, with an AMD, not Epic Threadripper, to accommodate 10 gig eventually. And if for Plex, I guess GPU transcoding would live in the Plex VM container. Let me break this down. Hey, real quick, Huxwell, thanks for the follow. Appreciate it. Thank you. Light mode is beaming. Let's see. Hi, everyone. Has experience running storage 12 drives with an AMD. I'm trying to break this down. Accommodate 10 gig for Plex and GPU transcoding. Would live in the Plex container. So I know this is kind of a statement, but then it has a question mark at the end. So I'm trying to understand what you're asking. But you're asking, hey, does anyone have experience with a storage server that could maybe house 12 drives and AMD? I mean, once you're getting into something that has very specific requirements, I mean, outside of buying it exactly what you want, it's going to have to be building it. 12 plus drives is going to be a tough one. It's going to be a tough one. Yeah, I mean, you're looking at something that's either custom or for you or something, pretty big. I don't have anything off the top of my head. A lot of people will find and use JBODs or just a bunch of disks or disk shelves, whatever you want to call them. I used one for a long time. It holds 24 disks, but they use a considerable amount of energy. But if you're doing 12 drives, you're gonna kind of be there too. And sometimes that's a lot easier and even more cost effective than trying to, wire up 12 drives into some kind of chassis with a whole bunch of SATA cables and power and trying to figure all that out. So if you really are if you're starting with 12 drives with the, possibility of expanding, I would look at some of the, the cheaper, older options of getting a disk shelf and then going from there, only because like 12 drives is a lot of drives to fit in a case. And so rather than try to buy the perfect case and spend a lot of money on the case and getting the server with 12 drives, you could just have a dumb disk shelf and then connect it through an HBA controller. HBA controller that way. And then you don't have to buy a specialist case. It's just some machine with compute and use it that way. So I hope that answers your question. I hope it does. C Diablo. I'm working on setting up a backup strategy with my Raspberry Pis. One of them recently died and I had no backups. I hear you. I'm there too. That one back there, zero backups. I mean, I have the code. I know how to set it up and I know how to do it. But yeah, it would be nice. Would be nice. I probably need to do that too. I have a handful of Raspberry Pis in my environments that do, kind of important things. And I would love to figure out a way to automate that. And I don't mean like a whole bunch of shell scripts. I want to do like the opposite. Like I want to click a button or set something up and just know that, hey, I'm getting a full disk image of these Raspberry Pis and get them working. Because I mean, that's honestly what I would love to have. And that's part of the reason why I haven't set up backups for all my Raspberry Pis, because like it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work and effort to do that on all of my Raspberry Pis versus just like figuring out if they die. That's bad. That's bad. I know. I'm just being honest. But for you, if you have data on there that you can't reproduce, absolutely. You'll have to let me know, C Diablo, what route you go to back up your Raspberry Pis. I would love like some kind of turnkey solution to where I just install an agent, do a thing on it, have it back up to some network storage, and if something goes wrong, I just get it running again, install an agent, and do restore or even restore to disk. That would be awesome. Let me know. I'm in the market too for this. Kill some time before time kills you. Stuff I do: networking. Multiple VLAN printing sucks. It does. Yeah, that is the one thorn in my side. Is my printer. With my VLANs, because I decided like, hey, I'm gonna put my printer on IoT, or I think it's on IoT. Don't quote me on that. I think it is, but it is so dang hard, like to print to it. And for some reason, I thought like, from Windows it works sometimes, and it depends on what network I'm on. Doesn't print from my phone, but then will print from my phone if I connect to it directly. So I'm there with you too. I don't have a good solution for this. I've done everything that, UniFi tells me I should do to be able to print to this thing, and it drives me crazy. And I'm hesitant to put it on my trusted network just because I have this logical separation I have this, calculus in my head that I do when I try to determine what VLAN a device belongs on. And ultimately, I thought my printer falls into the category of things I call IoT. Basically things I can't like interrogate or log into or patch or do anything. I'm considering that IoT because who knows, like someone else controls that firmware and one day they could not update it or could get compromised, and who knows. So that's my it's kind of my calculus, which I'll talk about in a future video here soon. But yeah, let me know if you figure it out because I would love to figure that out as well. 3 Pork Chop Express. I've heard it's hard with AMD AM4 because not that many PCI lanes. Oh, okay. Oh, I got you. So you're looking for what type of processor would be able to handle that many drives because of PCI lanes. I don't know enough about AM4. I know that, in general, a lot of AMDs have like more PCI lanes than Intel stuff, at least recent stuff, but I don't know any for. I'm gonna play the dumb card, even though I should know this, but I don't know enough about the AM4 platform. Maybe I should. Been a long time like Intel user, and I have always just kind of been like, I'm just gonna use Intel, and I can't always be like that, but at the same time, I should learn more about AMD, especially AM4. I wish I had an answer for you. Nobi. Ryu. I'm pronouncing it like it's Japanese. I thought the answer was 42. Yeah, good one. It's the answer to everything, to life. I will look at this. Thanks. Yeah, for sure. Oh, the answer is always 42. I totally agree. I didn't get that reference one time until I saw Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. A lot of people, I felt left out, felt like an outsider until I saw that movie. I didn't read the book, so for me it was movie, and people would mention that. I'm like, why would you pick 42? Like that number does not make any sense. Let's see. Ragaith, that's what I'm going with. Moving is terrible. I'm still in the process. All my HomeLab stuff is not set up, and I've got the itch to work on things. Yeah. Priorities. Sounds like you're adulting. I usually don't adult. The few times I've moved, like I said, internet is scheduled the day I move there. One server's already there, or because we don't stay the night. So during the, this was my plan the last couple times. Internet there on day 0, the day I close in the house. I have a PC or a laptop ready that I plug in that gets on the internet, and then I have one camera that I plug in just to watch. I have no idea. It's like that was how I rolled my own security the last couple moves, but I did it. Anyways. I don't adult that often. So you can see where my priorities are. Let's see. Let me look at time. Oh, man, I'm getting pretty good at looking at the time almost exactly when it's time. It's like I have my spider sense is tingling or something. Not that I have one. Hey, there we go. Yeah, this is what I was talking about earlier. Or is the solution something like a DS4246 passed to my Proxmox servers? Hey, I got one right. Yeah. 3-port Chop Express. That's kind of what I was hinting at when I was talking about a JBOD, because then you don't have to like build this, very custom server. You could get a disk shelf or a JBOD or an external disk array that then becomes this super custom thing that you can just plug in with a card to any compute device that you have. And then if you don't like it one day, you can sell it. And then you didn't buy this super custom, case or server that has all of these requirements. Instead of loading all those requirements on one machine, you could break it up and say, hey, this machine's just compute. And then I'll figure out storage, and maybe it's a disk shelf, maybe it's something else. I will say, though, that they do draw a lot of power. I think I mentioned this in my video. My DS4246, I mean, maybe this isn't a lot of power, but just turning the thing on, it was drawing 120 watts. And that's something I didn't really consider when I first bought it or even cared about or even knew. It took me a long time to figure that out. And, I had 6 drives in it for a couple of years, and I thought I would expand, and I ended up not expanding. But if you have 12, you're already there. You're double of the discs that I had. So, okay, y'all. I'm gonna look real quick. I'm gonna answer a couple. I do apologize, but time is getting short. So, Fireball. Finally got my 2 Intel NUCs quad-core 64 gig RAM up and running. Slowly migrating things from old gaming PC. Awesome. Also, wanted to share an open source project, Planka. It's super useful for project management. Alternative to Trello. Awesome. Yeah, I'll have to look at it. If it has Kanban boards and stuff, I might check it out. Because I do use Trello for a lot of stuff, or even planning my videos and stuff like that. But if there's a open source self-hosted one that kind of works like Trello, like if it supports Kanban board and it has tags and comments, that's all I need. That is all I need. And it would be nice to kind of own that data too. So awesome. Thank you for sharing. Okay, y'all. I'm gonna don't know why I'm saying y'all as if I'm in the South, but I'm way in the North. But then again, I did come from I haven't always lived in the North, so that's why I'm saying y'all. I do apologize. This one's mentioned me specifically. Hey, I have an extremely old Dell R710 with 2 Xeons. I was there too with E5. I didn't have those processors and 32 gigs of RAM. Do you have any suggestions for a cheaper, better, newer server? Yeah, this one's tough too. Because it really depends on, like, are you trying to save cost? Are you trying to save electricity? Or do you just want something newer? And then on top of that, like, what are your current workloads? And what do you expect them to be? Like if you're running that Dell server and you have, video cards in there and tons of drives and tons of RAM, and you're passing through that video card to Plex and doing transcoding, and basically if you have a lot going on in there, your options are going to be somewhat limited because you're going to have to duplicate that thing again somewhere else, maybe on a newer platform or a smaller one. But I would say it depends. I'm a fan of reusing things you already have. Any PC build old PC build is gonna use way less power than any enterprise server, guaranteed. Well, depends on what your old PC was, but for the most part, I would look at things like that. Even a custom build is going to use a lot less power. You're going to spend a little bit more up front. But then if you're looking at used stuff, I mean, we talked about that earlier. A lot of people are building micro PCs and just building out mini clusters. And hey, that sounds like fun and sounds like a lot of learning involved. But then you're spreading that load across multiple servers. And if you're using something like Kubernetes, or even if you're clustering your Proxmox nodes, you can just add on another node if you outgrow the capacity. That's kind of the nice part about having a cluster versus an all-in-one. An all-in-one, you got to scale vertically. Need more RAM. Throw in some more RAM, more RAM. Need more storage, either replace the disk or add more disk And you get a lot of the benefits of shared resources, like, hey, you know, 1 or 2 power supplies, 1 or 2 things of each. But a lot of people, instead of doing that, they'll scale horizontally. So they'll say, okay, well, you know, I'm gonna buy, you know, 3 nodes. If I outgrow that, you know, I'll add a 4th node, add a 5th node, add a 6th node. So the benefit of doing that is that, you know, you can add compute or add RAM or disk over time. Pretty cool. You know, the downsides of doing that is now you have 4 or 5 machines, and altogether they might use a little bit more power. Who knows? But then you have more things to plug in. You have, you know, you just have more of everything. But that could be a benefit too. You know, now you have a spare if one goes down or whatever. So yeah, I mean, this is a tough one. I mean, there is no, you know, right answer. I wish I could, you know, point to something and say, yep, this is exactly what you do. But it really depends on what your requirements are. It's tough. It's tough to just say, hey, newer, cheaper, better, and then server on top of that. I mean, when I left, like, you know, we departed. When I sold my Dell R710, I was saying it like it you know, like it was something like I you know, had some kind of relationship with. When I sold my Dell R710, you know, I made the conscious effort to go with 1U servers. Did I go with them because they were cheaper? No, they were way more expensive. Each one was 2x the cost of one Dell server. But I did that consciously because I wanted to save a little bit of power. I wanted to have thinner blades within my server rack because, you know, I thought I'd never get another server rack, which I did anyways. Less heat, less power, less everything. But I mean, I spent, you know, 2-3x what it cost for one of those servers. So this one's tough. It's like you want more, but you want to pay less, you know, and that's tough. That's tough for sure. But a lot of people are suggesting, they have suggested, goodbye Dell R710. Yeah, I wrote a letter. Yeah, no, yeah, it was kind of weird when we parted ways, the Dell R710 and I. No, but a lot of people, I think, have found like lower powered and smaller versions of Dell. I think Dell R620, correct me if I'm wrong, PC Geek or anyone out there that runs these smaller Dells, there are ones you can upgrade or side grade or downgrade to that use less power, use less heat, they're a lot quieter, and will get you maybe what you're looking for. But it's a tough call. It's a tough call, and I do apologize. I wish we had more time. But absolutely, if you throw the same question in Discord, throw it in there because I would love to see what people say. I would love a recommendation from someone who maybe went through this, so that I can, you know, pass that along and say, hey, you know, so and so did this. This is what they thought. But yeah, I mean, you have so much options. But I think what would help too is like, what do you run in your current server? Because knowing your requirements, you know, changes the whole game. I mean, if you were like, yeah, I got a video card and I do transcoding on Plex and, you know, I have, you know, whatever, 100 terabytes of stuff that I need, it kind of changes it. Unless you were like, hey, you know, I just run Docker containers bare metal and, you know, I get a handful of them. And I would say, well, like, use an Intel NUC or something like that, or you know what I mean? So it really changes it. Even Intel NUCs, you know, you can use QuickSync with Plex, which is pretty cool. I mean, if you have QuickSync on a Intel, you know, desktop processor that has one of the vGPUs or a GPU and an Iris that supports QuickSync, you can do that with Plex too, which is pretty awesome. So, anyways, I love talking about this stuff. I would love to talk about it all day, but I do have to get off here because wife's home. I heard her earlier. So anyways, man, thank you guys. Thank you all so much for coming today. Thank you so much. There were follows, there was subs, there was resubs. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. But most of all, thank you for like, hey, taking, you know, an hour, 45 minutes out of your day to join the stream and talk tech and talk shop about the world of servers and home servers and networking and hacking and stuff. So I really appreciate it. If you have something you didn't get to say or I didn't read it, absolutely feel free to join our Discord server. We have a Discord server we're over 8,000 people now in our Discord server. It's awesome. We have channels for almost every single topic, and then we have one called Random just in case it doesn't fit in one of those. But we have topics on all kinds of stuff that people talk about, that we have like experts from all over talk about different things that they're doing and talking about and excited about, and so much help, like so much help. Like it's one of the few Discord servers I've been in where people are just so willing to help. And I say this every time, but I got so lucky that they're in my server, and I greatly appreciate it. But if you have something and you want to ping me in Discord, absolutely, I'll take a look at it. But I guarantee there's going to be someone else who has a better answer and maybe real world experience with the thing you're asking about more so than I have. So I don't have all the answers. I just try to find the people who have the answers. And if I like I said, like if I don't know it myself, I'll find someone who knows it, and we'll figure it out. So. Anyways, thank you all so much for tuning in today. I hope you have a great rest of the weekend. I will be back next Saturday on Twitch for sure. I'm trying to work out this next 2 videos. I have 2 that are like competing for my attention. I need to focus on one. I would love to get one out midweek. Midweek would be awesome. I usually do Saturdays, but I think this one I might be able to wrap up. And I sometimes don't like sitting on videos, so I don't know. But then when I release one midweek, people are like, "Oh, I wish it was on Saturday." I was like, "Ooh," but it's like Christmas, like, you know, kind of most of the time, you know, sharing something I created with people kind of feels like that for me. So we'll see. Anyways, have a great rest of the week. I might be in voice later. I'll try if I can tonight while I'm hacking away at other things. But if not, I will see you next week. I will be in Discord. I will be on Twitter, and yeah, we'll see you. Have a great rest of the week and be good to each other. Take care, folks.